Go to the Mediterranean. There's nothing in that sea. It's all been fished out. And you see what humans then do. They decimate everything.
How have you seen climate change impact Antarctica?
So where we are is Eastern Antarctica, and it's huge. And it's very, very different from Western Antarctica, which is much smaller and along the peninsula. So there where the cruise ships are and basically it's much further north. They see really, that's the vanguard of climate change, and they're seeing radical changes.
Like what?
Glaciers retreating, penguins moving further south, all the sorts of things that you would expect. Here, because of the scale of where we are in Eastern Antarctica, it's a little bit harder to judge. But we definitely, there's tons of scientists right now on the ice shelf just next to us measuring the ice shelf because bits are carving off. Part of it is having extreme weather events. So, like a couple of years ago, we had 6 full hurricanes, which was very unusual. The weather is shifting here. I mean, it's an unpredictable place anyway.
How have you seen it shift?
By having more extreme weather, by having higher winds, systems that, we had fog on our runway and we had humid air. Now, this is a desert. We shouldn't be getting fog here. So, yeah, things are changing for sure. But I think that we are sheltered from the sort of main visual impact of it. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. This is the bit that a lot of people don't understand, is that Antarctica is literally the litmus test of the planet. And the reason why all the climate researchers are here is because this is where it's all happening, here in the North Pole.
The Antarctic Treaty is up for renewal 2042. If you don't mind, explain what that is and why it's vital it be upheld.
The Antarctic Treaty is like it reads a little bit like a sort of a non-proliferation nuclear pact, basically. And what it is lots of different nations have all signed up together to say that they're not going to own this land. So they're not going to recognize any land claims. So it ain't Russians, it ain't Americans, it ain't whatever. And no one's going to use this place for commercial use in terms of mining and mining resources. And basically to leave the place a preserve of science. Peace is a really big, there won't be conflict here, there won't be military here, is really important. And so really it preserves one of the 7 continents. And this, Antarctica is significantly bigger than America. I mean, it's huge, this place. And most people just sort of see the little fingers on a map and they just give Antarctica almost no mind whatsoever. But it's vast and it's utterly seismic to the rest of the planet. So I think it's incredibly important that that treaty continues. I think that people, if you don't believe in climate change now, then I don't even know what to say. But this is where, here in the North Pole, is where it's all happening. So people should pay attention to what is happening in Antarctica and the Arctic.
There was an interesting Economist article recently, and I wanted to just read a few different quotes from it and get kind of your reaction. But The Economist read, October 25th, an international court tasked with preserving marine life in Antarctica ended in acrimony as Russia and China vetoed every proposal. Both countries have also apparently blocked efforts to designate emperor penguins a protected species. Your thoughts on all of that?
So the issue is that the Antarctic Treaty is obviously done by consensus, so everybody has to sign up to it. And so that is enormously difficult, especially when you've got, all the politics going on in the rest of the world. There's nations that are obviously have a very clear eye towards commercial fishing and to krill fishing and all sorts of stuff. So they don't want to protect marine areas and they don't want large areas to be off limits. So I think that is I guess the plus side is that no one owns it and there's inaction in terms of stuff getting done. The downside is you've got nothing can happen without consensus. So, it's very difficult to get things moving.
And it's interesting you mentioned krill because the next excerpt was, climate change is giving fleets greater access to stocks of krill, the world's most underexploited fishery. And then Xi Jinping, China's president, has explicitly said his country should exploit Antarctica's resources.
Wow. I didn't know he'd actually explicitly said that. Yeah. I think it'll be very sad. I think that I think it's incredibly important for, yeah, especially having children. Going back to that again, it's like I don't understand people who are just so prioritize the greed over the environment. There is a way of doing things sustainably. And, when cod stocks in the seas are left to rejuvenate and they're left in certain areas, they come back really quickly. It's sustainable rather than just killing everything. Go to the Mediterranean. There's nothing in that sea. It's all been fished out. And you see what humans then do. They decimate everything. And then it's just this completely inert environment. And for that to happen in Antarctica would be seismic for the rest of the planet.
And to go back to kind of where you started on the Antarctic Treaty front, it appears like, at least according to this Economist article, that activities happening that's pushing the bounds on the pact's prohibitions against military activity and resource extraction. So as somebody who has built their life and career around this place, your just view of that is what?
I think that nationalism is a really proud and wonderful and super dangerous. And the super dangerous because it just always pits one person against another person, one nation against another. They are the bad guys, we are the good guys in each eyes. And I think that the real sadness for me is how it's just that really myopic approach to nationalism and the way life should be excludes others. And what I've learned from having 17 different nationalities in the company here in Antarctica, in a place that no one owns, is that we benefit from it hugely. We're so much more diverse. We're so much more nimble. So the fact that we can't still, as humans with the internet where we're all connected, figure out that we have to save our whole planet, we have the mind and we have the brilliance to be able to do it. It's whether the nefarious side of humanity and the sort of the greed and all those nasty bits that we all sort of try to stay away from, whether that will win or not.
Because I want to end on a positive note, what do you see as a solution to some of these challenges?
People need to have a far more global outlook. Stop looking inwards, look across and be global and what is best for the planet. And we are so capable as humans and we can do this, but the blithe ignorance or deliberate ignorance and just the lack of caring of the environment is a huge unfolding slow motion tragedy. And it's kind of like we've been given the Garden of Eden and we're just burning it. And it's like, that is, sorry, you said it was going to end on a positive note, didn't you?
But I would
I'm
say,
going to be really depressed now. I'm going to just put in a dark room.
But I would say you could make the argument that what is happening here and so many different countries being here together, coexisting, collaborating.
Yeah. It is a lovely example of the way humans can collaborate. And sorry, I went into a dark place there. I'll come back out again. But I think that I completely agree with you. Antarctica is a shining example how different nations can all work together and actually, like, the humanity can work together as humans, not as a Frenchman, a German, an Englishman, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it is a really good example.